show. This is an experience. This is PV Roundtable Talk. I am your host, Amir Pettis.
I'm your co-host, Taryn Youngs.
I'm Reginald Burns.
My name is Michael Courtney.
All right. Y'all ready to talk about it?
Let's
Let's
talk
talk
about
about
it.
it.
All right. First and foremost, we've got three new faces up here. So let's go around and kind of just give us a quick intro.
So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Taryn. I also work with the media team for Roundtable Talk. This is my first time co-hosting with Amiri today. I'm super excited to get this conversation going.
All right.
Oh, I'll go. So a lot of people call me Mike. Not really well known around the school, but I'm excited to be here. Co-host Mary. You know, got your own fashion design, man. So I'm proud of you.
My name is Reggie Burns. I play rugby for the rugby team out here from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay. All right. So today is, this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So that is going to be a big topic for today. But what I want to bring up first is that something that somewhat frustrates me about, I don't want to say propaganda, but just advertisement of people who actually do bring awareness to it is like sometimes it'll be like, oh, it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and they'll be like, well, I guess you guys wouldn't know that because y'all don't care. And I feel like my biggest point with that is I feel like you can't expect someone to bring up an issue that you're having if you don't bring it up first. So do you guys feel like it's being brought up more? Do you guys feel like it?
In my opinion, yes. To answer your question, yes, it is getting brought up more like today, but that's just the world we live in now, like with technology and social media and all that. So I can comment under a post and a million people can see what I said, and spread knowledge and wealth and everything can just get passed on, quicker and all that. But yes, it's well known, but do people really care? I'm not really sure, because people will always say, put on the front of what they, think is the right thing to say. But I remember what you was talking about earlier, like how can we expect them to care about it if we don't care about it, or at least show or bring up that we're hurt by it? How do you feel about that, Reggie?
I agree with you. I feel like it is being more, like people are talking about it more, but I don't feel like a lot of people do anything about it though. So I feel like we're talking about it, but we're not putting no effort and work into it. I feel like a lot of us men are not taking accountability for that. Like we can say we're hurting, we can say we're doing this, but what are we doing ourselves? So I feel like as men, we got to take responsibility for that. Like we got to be accountable for ourselves to be better, to do better.
Yeah, good point.
For me, I would definitely agree that we are in like a new age, a new generation where we acknowledge that men's mental health also matters, but we're not taking the right steps. It's like we're still trying our best to still put on that mask of like, hey, like I'm good, I'm fine. It's like that strong masculinity of like just I gotta be okay.
And pride.
And yeah, it's that pride and that ego. It's like I gotta be okay instead of just saying like, hey, like I need actual help. Like I need to seek therapy, or I need to seek I need to talk to my father, because that's kind of like where some of it starts from our neighborhoods or from our families and that kind of situation and circumstances.
So that's a great point that you brought up, and I think we have a question from the audience.
Hi. So, do you think that men, when dealing with mental health issues, oftentimes get more support from women in their community or other men in their community? And which do you think is more valuable?
Okay, so he asked, if you didn't hear him, do you think that men get more support with mental health from men or women, and which do you think is more valuable? That's a great question.
That's a good question.
That's a great question. I'll start it off. I can tell you my personal experience. Through my personal experience, I get more. I guess you could say I get more support from other men, like that I'm close to in my close circle, or like uncles, family members who are men. Understand the things that I go through and the struggles that I have every day. But I would love to have it from women too, but it's just for lack of knowledge why I don't get it from them. And that's what we're talking about earlier. We need to take the steps to spread the awareness of people that are like crying in silence. And, that's why the suicide rate is high. I remember we talked the other day, 80% rate of men that are the 80% of suicides that are happening in America are from men.
Yeah.
And that's an alarming rate.
And I think honestly, I feel like I think it would be more valuable if women were a part of that. The help that you get from it, like when you have mental health issues or when you're going through tough periods in your life, because and that I think that starts from just having like a mother figure in your life, and you have that person who might have been there for you in those moments, and when you get out into the real world and there's everybody's kind of going through their own thing, and sometimes it feels like those women that are supposed to be in your life are not there when it's time. But what was your answer to that question?
I say it. I've been more comfortable talking to men about my problem because I feel like some of us go through the same thing, but we just hide it, like put it on the front, smile about it, and just keep moving on with our day. So I feel like if women were to like, how can I say, if they was there more and like they'll like sit down and really talk to us and. But I know men, we so prideful, we don't want to talk about nothing. So it's just like we got to be, like we said before, we got to take the steps to really express ourselves and show what we hiding. Like it hurts, it really do, because I've been through it, so I know like it really hurts. So having a woman, I feel like having a woman would be more comfortable for a man than like having a man there. So
For me, it's kind of different with my story. Like in the past, I would always kind of like lead on to my aunties because my uncles showed this very big, prideful ego, and including my dad. Like they would always, when I ever like looked up to them, they always just showed this like, I'm okay. Like I got everything under control. I'll handle the kids. I handle the wife. Everything. So it's like if I come to them in some sort of weakness, it feels like I'm shamed. And so I usually just go to my aunties or my mother and tell them like, hey, I'm dealing with this problem right now. And it wasn't until like last year I was actually humble enough to say like I actually need a man's perspective. And so just actually going to my father and my uncles and it wasn't like, I would say like it wasn't as genuine at first because I was still holding back a little, but like as time grew, I like grew more humble to say like, hey, I need your help. And then when I had that conversation with them, I actually related to a lot of them. Like they actually went through the same thing. So it's like this perspective, like if you just actually take the time and humble yourself and say like, hey, need help from a man's perspective, from a woman's perspective, because even women can support too, like many different ways.
So like, would you care to elaborate on that, how women can help? Because I know you can, because us guys, we want to be the rock foundation of our family and all that. We want to make sure everyone feels like, oh, everything's okay, everything's running smooth. But to break down and just open up and say, I'm having a problem, I'm struggling with this and that. What would you say, or how would that go as far as the woman understanding?
Y'all mind if I take it to scripture?
Go ahead.
A scripture like women are like spiritually like naturally just nurturing. Like you can actually come to them like when you scrape your knee on the concrete. Who do you go to? Who do you cry to? Your mother, because she has that nurturing and kind spirit. And I feel like that can trace all the way up to like when you're in middle school when you did something that you weren't very proud of, or even like in high school when something happened to you and you just was like, what the heck? Like you were put in a circumstance like that you had no part in. Like you can actually talk to your mom and she can be there to actually nurture you and comfort you in that situation. And while as your dad be like, because I've experienced some dads, and even my dad sometimes was like, be strong. Like, what are you doing? Like, don't cry. But, even like the manliest man, I think the manliest man of all time is Jesus, because to die for your sins, to die for some other people's sins is the most craziest amount of love ever. And if he can cry, then, I feel like I can cry too. So
that's real. That's real.
Yeah, that's real.
You brought up a really good point, and just kind of taking me back to high school. And that's when I really saw the impact that teachers can have on students, because there's always those kids who are perceived as they act up, or they're not like the most involved in their schoolwork, but it's always that one teacher that it seems a lot of guys go to. And I had a couple teachers like that that were kind of in my little business cohort or whatever it was called, like enrichment. And because they were not like regular teachers and they were kind of teaching more life skills, I think the environment that they created was more like nurturing and more comfortable. And so a lot of times I would see them in there just on it would either not be their class, they would be having like a rough time in a class, and that's the point that they took. That's the person that they would go to. And I was just thinking, like, I never really realized what those teachers kind of do for them. So I think that's like really crazy that you even brought that up.
I
No, you could.
I was saying like that's like actually like a good point. Like it's a life skills teacher. It's someone who actually teaches you about life. You don't go to like a math teacher and say, "Hey, can you help me with my science homework?" You go to a math teacher and say, "Hey, can you help me with my math homework?" So even with like a life skill, like it feels like a deeper connection with that teacher because it's like, "Hey, I'm going through this problem, and I know you're a life skills teacher, and I need like your help with all this." To see if you like have any opinion.
And in my opinion, to piggyback off this teacher topic while we're on it, if you think about it, most of our lives we spend more time with our teachers than our actual parents.
Yes.
So I feel like teachers should, the ones who really have a passion, those teachers that I'm talking about, the ones that really have a passion for like the next generation and bringing up the student, building them minus their flaws and whatever they have going on at home, to give them advice, whether they're a social studies, math teacher, PE teacher, whoever it is. I feel like if the students if I'm a teacher and if the student comes up to me and asks me that question, I feel like, oh yeah, they feel comfortable enough to come and ask me. So I'm going to feel, entitled to just tell them what it is,
Yeah, give them knowledge.
Give them knowledge. And earlier what you were talking about with what you said. Lost my train of thought. I was going to move on to the next one.
No, I did want to say one thing I was thinking about is situations that like we've let our pride, because that was something that you brought up as well, kind of get in the way of maintaining our own mental health and our own like sanity sometimes. So can you guys speak to an experience that you've had where that has happened?
I say expressing myself. Like I always had a problem with expressing my feelings. Like growing up, I was always told, "Don't cry, you a man. Crying is weak for boys." Like I was always told this. So growing up, anything I had feel like if I feel like I was hurt or something, I go play football and let my anger out on the football field. So, but let's say I stopped doing it because it came a day where my little brother told me he couldn't cry. He was like, "You told me when growing up, if we cry, you soft. I never cry, so I don't want to be soft." They hurt me. They tore me up. Like I was like, "Nah, man, you can cry, like you can express yourself." Like I had to look back at myself, like, dang, I really went all these years telling my little brother, like, you can't cry. Like, no, you can express yourself. You can tell me how you feel. Like I want to be there for you, so you can express yourself. Like, cause I didn't have it, so I'm the oldest, so I didn't have nobody to go to, so I just kept it to myself. So I was like, you can express yourself. Talk to me. Like I feel like we don't have certain men in their life don't have like a positive role model they can just really go and talk to. So I just feel like that moment in time, I was like, I had to change myself and I had to fix myself for my little brother, so he can really like look up and be like, okay, I can express myself. I can talk about this. Like it's okay to cry. It's okay to talk. Like yeah.
Because I think when you look at your father and from your perspective as a child, a lot of times you're only seeing them taking care of business. You're only seeing them in the moments where they have to be a man, and so that's why it's so important to have another male figure in your life that's not your father, because yes, they can help you sometimes when it comes to those situations, but because they're not ever going to show you. Lots of parents never show their children their true emotions. They never show them, like, this is this is what I'm really feeling, because they don't have time for that. They have to make sure that you're good.
Yeah.
So that like really, and that's something that I want to urge to everybody now. Like, make sure that you have a positive male figure in your life that's not your father, because sometimes your father's not going to be able to show you how to deal with your mental health.
Yeah, because he might not know how to deal with his own mental health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the point on its own. But do you have any experience you could speak to?
Sort of, yeah. So I'm gonna just make this quick. So I would just say for me, it was really just like apologizing to like my family and even like forgiving them. It was hard because, you know, I kind of didn't like some of the ways they treated me, but like I can't say that I wasn't the best son, I wasn't the best brother. So it wasn't until like God really had to set me down. He's like, look, if you want to heal, if you want to actually be forgiven, like you're gonna have to forgive like the people that like have hurt you. And it wasn't just my family. I'm not gonna say like my family was harsh. No, my family was a very loving family. I was just so in my head to the like I was so in my head to the point where I was like what is going on, bro? So it wasn't until like this year I was like I apologized to all of my my father, my mother, like my brothers and my brother and my sisters. It was like, yeah, I'm sorry for like everything that I did. Like I kind of like shut them out. And it was like a real healing moment to me. And I say like the one who carried me through that was God, because he's the most forgiving person. He's the most forgiving being of all time. So if he can forgive me from what I've done, then I can be able to forgive the family, my family.
We are back. We're going to continue our conversation. We just heard an amazing story from Mike, and I really enjoyed that. And especially, I'm enjoying the way that you're integrating God into everything, because that's a really important part of mental health, or just spirituality in general. I think is a great way to help you through mental health, because I know not everybody is of the same religion, but we all we're all heading towards the same place. But I wanted to ask you kind of the same question. Is there a time where your pride as a man has kind of held you back from dealing with your mental health the right way?
As far as me personally, I never had struggles with my pride. I more had struggles with it's really in my head. Like it's just really in myself. Like it's like, man, am I really capable of? Like sometimes I second guess myself. Like real talk. Yeah, like real talk. I second guess myself. I'll doubt sometimes, but then I'll just have to tell myself like I made it this far, I can still keep going. You know, but just those internal thoughts just of that, and just the pressures of trying to be somebody in this world and not just looked at as another number. Like those pressures weigh down on me heavy, because you know, as a black man, I'm just be shooting straight. We're public enemy number one.
Yeah, sure.
And you know, Amiri, within you in the LGBTQ community,
Right.
You know, that's another part.
On top of it,
Do you have a story?
do I have a story? I'm trying to think, because one thing that I feel like, especially when I'm not around my parent, I think honestly, when I'm not at home, I feel like I have my real personality is always to express how I'm feeling. And I think my points have been when I get in back home, and I've had situations where sometimes I feel like I can't talk back. I can't say what I need to say, and because I can't say what I need to say, I shut down, and I break down, and I've had moments where I'm so unresponsive to the way where I've made the situation actually worse. And then when it gets worse, now I'm like in shambles because I can't even say what I need to say to get like towards a resolution. But I want to also, we're going to transition, but I also want to talk about back when we were talking about women and how their position in how we can deal with our mental health and how we help. Um, have you guys been in relationships with women and had those kind of tough spots mentally? And how was that? How was how was that?
Y'all want to go first?
Not really. Look like you itching,
Nah,
right?
yeah. Seem like you got it.
All right, so I was in a relationship like where she had mental health problems and I didn't know what to do. So it was like she was always sad and I'm full of joy. So it's like you always sad and it was bringing me down too. So it was like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. So like I learned from that experience. Like I could have did better being a better boyfriend, communicating with her, talking to how she felt, helping her express herself. So I feel like that was a learning stage for me. So next time I get one,
He's looking.
But that goes both ways though, like what you said,
Yeah.
like how you were able to talk her, try to at least attempt to try to
Attempt,
talk to her, because we're not perfect, we don't have all the answers to everything, but we all got to start somewhere. Same with that, like it goes both ways. Like when we're down, we're in our heads, like we need. I'm not gonna say we need, but it would be nice to have, especially from a woman, just like that confirmation. Like you got this. You're a king. You're made for this. Don't worry about. Just
positive
little
stuff, yeah.
stuff like that. We need
Affirmation.
positive affirmations, reinforcements that we need.
Okay, so we have another question from the audience.
So as we're talking about mental health and women, some of the issues for women for mental health is body image, but not a lot of people think about how that male perspective takes on the body image. What do you guys think about that?
Great question. So she asked, she said that a lot of women's mental health struggles around like body image, stuff like that. And she was asking, is it the same for men and how we view our bodies? I can answer first. Yes and no.
Yeah.
It's the same yes and no, because like I know that not every woman wants this big old Arnold Schwarzenegger guy, but then again, like I want to take care of myself and be healthy and look, presentable, but it's not the same. Is not yes, but it's not the same as you guys struggle because women, they're supposed to be beautiful, this and that, the stereotypical, the perception how we're supposed to be stoic, manly, whatever. That's their perception, and that's a different struggle that they deal with.
I think, yeah, and to what she was saying as well, the perception that we put on each other as a man towards a man, a man towards a woman towards a man. I think that's like the biggest issue is that we have gotten to this culture where we're always judging each other, and we always put somebody on top of a pedestal of what we should all look like or what we should all act like. And I think that's the biggest problem is that we set expectations that half the time we can't meet ourselves.
Social media.
Hey,
there it is. There it is. I was waiting on it. There it is.
Everybody want to be what they see on social media. That's all fake to me. Like I don't care about all that fame and like that ain't real.
Yeah.
I feel like
And since you brought that up, I know one of the big things back in, not as much now, but I know like a few years ago, simping was like a big topic. Like people would just always start saying it all of a sudden because they saw there's certain men who maybe did a little bit too much, or sometimes simping just meant I feel like for some men they would say simping for like the most regular stuff, like like he actually did what he's supposed to do, and now that's considered simping. So how do you guys feel about simping? Has that been something that people have put on you?
I feel like if a man is telling if another man is seeing another man taking care of his woman, doing the right thing by her, treating her right, and he calls him a simp, he's hating.
Yeah, he just don't know how to treat a woman.
Straight like that.
Clock.
So, dang, it's finally my time. I've been trying to talk the last 3 topics. When it comes to simping, I don't believe there is such thing called simping. Like, because when it's loving your woman, it's truly loving your woman. Like, we are called to, love the woman like Christ loves the church. And Christ did everything for the church. He protected them. He prayed for them. He was patient and kind and loving to them. Even after everything that we've all done, he was still loving towards us. And so when it goes to just simping, like, we're supposed to go all out for our woman. Spoil her. Give her the best dress that there is. Give her all the roses. Even when you don't have enough money, try to go all out for the date.
Be careful now.
I was just about to step in right there.
Don't buy her no Dior.
That's what I was. I'm glad you said that, because I was just about to say on the other side of the coin, where I feel like there is a definition of simping. Like,
what's the line?
The what?
The line.
The line is, because first of all, I'm gonna say this before. Every relationship isn't 50-50, but there's a point to it. Like, if that's not, like, if it's simping when it's, first of all, it's not your girlfriend. You're trying to woo her, whatever the vocabulary is you like to say nowadays. You're trying to get her, and you're just going all out, and she's really not feeling you or whatever the case may be, and you still trying to. That's simping. Like, come on now, dude. Like, you better than that. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get out of character.
Don't act out of character at all.
Anybody, and that goes for both sides, because I know sometimes, and that's half the time, that's the problem once you get into the relationship, because now you've done all the gushy stuff and all the above and beyond stuff, and once you get in the relationship, they're going to be expecting the same thing, and then you start to show the real you, and it's not that simple, that cuddly bear that we've been getting from the beginning. But we have another question from the audience.
Okay, so right now we're talking about this idea of going out and doing the most and things like that. But I watched a video, and the discussion was basically this idea that as a woman, you know what to expect from a man and how he's supposed to treat you, and as a man, you know how you're supposed to treat a woman. But as a man, what do you feel like is the appropriate list of expectations of, because I think as men, one thing we struggle with is understanding how we're supposed to be reciprocated. So can you guys kind of talk about what it's appropriate to expect, how to treat somebody when, you know, maybe you're not getting what you need, and so forth and so on?
So I'm gonna reiterate the question. He basically referenced a video where it said that women are taught what to expect from a man, and men are taught how to treat a woman. But now I think we've gotten to the place where certain things that were set to be the expectations of a woman are now looked at as patriarchal. And I sometimes feel the same way, because, like, when the main things that people say for a woman are like, you need to cook, you need to clean, you need to take care of the kids or whatever. But at the same time, those are all things that a man can do for themselves. So what is the expectation of a woman? And when you get in a relationship, what are you expecting?
Yeah, what you said, cooking, cleaning, whatever. The man paying all the bills, whatever. That's the cliche stuff that everyone brings up all the time, which is right, but to a certain extent, because it's like I said earlier, every relationship is not 50-50.
And it's 2023.
Man, it's not.
It's not.
And sometimes your girl might not. She may be going through something. She may not be able to. So you got to pick up for that, or you may have to cook or take care of her, make sure she's straight. And same both ways. But like when it comes down to it, I guess you saying 50-50. Yeah, I mean, those are the things that I guess you would expect. But other than that, I really can't say anything else, because, like what the question brought up in the audience, I wasn't taught what to receive from a woman except love and food.
Because the first woman that you truly experience a lot of times is your mother. So I can understand that. Yes.
Oh, so my bad, yo. What I expect from a woman is, first, who is she serving first? Is it me, or is it, God? I want her to serve God first, and the next thing I want to do is, like, there's cooking, cleaning, all that stuff. Me personally, I love to cook, so I just told my girl, like, hey, you ain't gotta worry about cooking no more. So, because I actually love cooking, but it's just like, when I'm going through something, or when she's going through something, I would like for both of us to communicate it. And even that's what I've been struggling with sometimes, because, like, as the conversation was before, like earlier, like, what do you struggle with communicating with women? It was me with, like, my own thoughts or my own past. It was hard for me to tell her about that. And so if we can, thank God that this happened, that we actually were honest with each other. So I would just value honesty, communication, servitude to God, and then just basically like how what God would say is Proverbs 31 woman, man. Just a Proverbs 31 woman is just
Was it?
I forgot the question. Can y'all repeat the question? Because I'm listening to all y'all. I'm listening to y'all.
Got lost in sauce.
No, so basically he was saying men are usually taught how to treat women, and women are taught, what to expect of a man. But some of the time, some things that we were taught to expect of a woman could be seen as patriarchal. So what are things that you expect of a woman? Or
I growing up, all I grew up with was women. So I expect a hard-working woman. They don't got to depend on a man, because I feel like a woman that don't have to depend on a man is a God-fearing woman. She's strong, like an independent woman. Like, I feel like if I don't got it and you got it, we have a mutual understanding about what's going on in our house. So it's like I just need I expect someone that's gonna be there with me. Like, when I ain't got it and she ain't got it, like, we got each other. So it's like I expect what I expect. I see my mama. So
right.
That's all. It's like I see my mama with it in a woman.
And see, like, as far as the aspect of that, like, I feel like the argument of cooking, it should just be negated, because before a relationship even starts, you can't take care of yourself, clean yourself. Come on now, you ain't got no business being in a relationship.
No, for sure.
And I feel like everybody should be independent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mean breakfast.
But we had a question from the audience.
On the topic of independent women, what does that look like, and does that intimidate you in any way?
Can you handle
An independent woman?
Can you handle it?
Yes, I love it. It boosts me. Like, you gonna motivate me. Like, you independent. Like, yeah, I like that. Like, keep working and show off. Like, that really inspires me. That's motivation.
Yeah, I feel like it's cool because, women are humans too. They have dreams, aspirations too. I feel like a go-getter is like, that's a good quality to have.
Yeah.
And, that's something that when you taking care of our children, being that nurturing, that's something you pass down to my children, so we could build an empire, build up, and break the cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
And spread awareness and knowledge to other people.
Okay, mission.
For me, I do like an independent woman, like, who knows her value, who knows her worth, and when she gets to work, she gets to it. Like, but I also like a woman who, like, hey, I need help some days. So just an independent, but also, how would I say, like, a submissive woman? Because if I'm supposed to be, again, Ephesians 5, if I'm supposed to be loving her, it's like, it's cool for her to submit. If I'm doing my part in loving her, it should be good for her part to submit.
And
she'll naturally do it.
Exactly. And I know that's something I remember a few episodes ago, our co-host, Auntie Shay, she brought up a line that Joe Scott said that if you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. And I think that's like, when you brought up some like submissive, I think that's a good point to also bring up in terms of independent women, because sometimes we've gotten to the point where men feel like women don't know how to submit, or they feel like the independence kind of takes them, like they've taken their submission out because they want to be an independent woman. So have you had like experiences where you feel like because they're so independent, you can't exert your dominance as a man in a relationship?
One thing I would say, like, to counter that question is, how are you loving her? If she's not submitting to you, how are you loving her? Like, if you're doing if you're doing all that you can and she's still not submitting, then you're going to be driven out of that relationship. But if you're actually doing your part and loving her as much as, like, you love her to the best of your ability, to the top of the top, even like at your weakest days, she's going to submit to you easily.
And like that kind of comes back to our topic about men's mental health. Like, some of us aren't even taught the right way how to treat a woman. And so now we're going out into society doing what we know just really isn't right.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
so, like what you said, if you're not treating her right, like I said, it'll naturally happen. We're man and woman. We're it's supposed to work. I feel like it's a big war going on between men and women right now, and I'm not like it. And I
Especially
feel
in the
like
Black
conversations
community.
like these need to be
Yeah.
had, and our voices need to be heard, and with outlets like these.
Oh,
Yeah.
I ain't had no experience like
I
this.
Ah,
I feel
never had
like
experience.
oh my fault. I feel like it's like, we're at that time of like men weren't doing their job, so a woman was like, all right, let me step up at this point because that was just getting irritating. So as long as we, us as men, take care of ourselves, and then put God first and be able to, love our women to the best abilities, it should be no problem. Like that stuff should happen. And even if there is a problem, y'all should both be able to be humble enough to be like, hey, we need to communicate what's going on, seek therapy, or even just like whatever the case may be, because I know everybody's situation is super different.
And the lack of what we're talking about, mental health awareness for men is the reason why there is so many quote unquote independent women and women that be like, oh, I don't need no dude. You shouldn't have to be like that, but it's like that because of mental health. Just to make this conversation come full circle, now you see it comes back to mental health and social
always
media
important.
every time. It comes back to it every time.
But honestly, and I'm thinking now sometimes we always talk about the woman is independent, and I think sometimes I'm now thinking, is the man always independent going into a relationship? I think sometimes men are dependent on being in a relationship or having somebody with them to deal with certain impact, like certain parts of their lives, and they forget that at some point you got to deal with you first before you even, because even though we're talking about relationships and how to like go about them with mental health, we cannot expect our partner to be the person who is dealing with our mental health.
Man, you just
Because
you just woke up all my whole summer.
uh-oh. Do we have something to talk about?
Yeah, so I'm not going to spread too much about like my personal relationship because I like to keep it private. It's just like God revealed to me a lot of stuff in my own issues, and to the point like, hey, if you're going to take care of her, I need you, like we're going to have to take care of all this, because think of your mind as like your room, like your college dorm room, and it's like all messy. You have all this mind clutter, you have all these lies in your head, you have all this overthinking, all this past trauma, and God is like, hey, I need you to clean up, not just for her, but for me and for you too. So it was like that whole summer he like helped out, like in my personal experience, he helped me out with like family issues, with overthinking and anxious thoughts, and just even my past. Like he revealed all that to me. So that goes back into mental health.
Exactly. And I want to ask, so like now that you've kind of been through this summer, how do you feel, like where are you now in terms of like relationships, like wanting to be in a relationship, and also like just where are you now in life, especially with your family as well, because I know you said you apologized to them.
Romantic relationship wise, I'm in a relationship right now.
Oh, okay.
Shoot, thank you God. Hey baby. So with that, it's still a little rough because it's like you've been through years of like putting yourself down, but it's also like God is bringing you up. So it's like it's taking practice. Like I know that I'm not perfect. I'm not gonna be perfect. So even with those my romantic relationship, it's like I love her. That's my best friend. I feel like I communicate and be honest with her. It's just still like sometimes like I have to grow still. And with my family's relationship, it actually got way better because of God, because of His forgiveness and love, and like me acknowledging like, hey, I need your compassion and kindness because you understand the struggle that I'm in, because you have a family, which is us, the church, like that hurts you, and the fact that you still forgave us.
Yeah.
I feel like I can forgive my family too. And after that, like me and my family talk more often than we usually do.
There's more you feel like you can be more open with them.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
What was the question
As far
again?
as your mental health in a relationship.
My mental health, I'm still battling. I can be honest with you. I'm still battling it. Like it's got better, but I'm still battling.
So, have you been in a relationship while you're kind of in like a a tough sitch or in a situationship or talking, like somebody you're with like consistently?
Yeah, but I knew then like I wasn't healthy enough mentally. I wasn't fit for the relationship, so I just
That's
let it go.
real.
So
Damn. How did that feel? Having to like let somebody go because you're not there yet.
it hurt. It
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah, like because we was together for like almost a year and a half. So it was like it was somebody I was real close. Cause like before I graduated, she was there for me because I was talking about killing myself before graduation. So she came there in that tough moment. So it was like hard for me to let that go. So, but yeah, I had to be honest with her. I was like, I don't even feel no like emotions. I'm done. Like, I'm gone. So I was like, I don't even put you on to take you farther than what it is now. So I just let it go.
So you weren't feeling like, do you feel like you were able to love her in the relationship or did you feel like you weren't able to love her because of where you were mentally?
Yeah, I did
Damn.
because it was like I was lost and I was like
Yeah.
I couldn't find myself. So I was like, I can't love you if I can't love myself right now. So it was like I had to let it go.
That's weird. Have you ever had any situations like
No, I haven't had any situation like that. But as far as my mental health, I feel like it's a day by day process. I'm not perfect. I still have those things I want to work on and get better at. But yeah, man, I'm good. I'm happy. I live every day happy. I take it day by day. Really, I just go with it. Try to just figure it out as I go.
Did you?
Oh, so I was about to say, I know I haven't spoken a lot about some of my personal experience, but I'll say relationship-wise, one of the biggest things for me is when I get with somebody that I really like or anything of that nature, I tend to start holding myself back a little bit because I never want to say the wrong thing or I want to say anything like to mess up a relationship. And I think sometimes it can take a toll on me because I am not able to I'm censoring myself over and over and over again. Like I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about, and then I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, and then I'm thinking about the reaction that it might have. I think that's been probably my biggest battle, and I think that it affects my relationships because I'm not able to be like completely in the moment, and it holds me back from even reaching the levels that I want to reach with certain people. And that sucks because sometimes I'll lose out on an opportunity because I haven't even expressed truly. Like I can say like I love you, like I might sometimes go out of my way, but I can't like really be in the moment with you and even have like real conversations because I'm so in my head about like what is next. And I think that just kind of speaks to my past, even with just friendships, because I've had points where I'm left all alone because I was somebody who did not censor themselves because I was censoring myself at home. And when I would go out somewhere else, that's where I would be like, okay, well, I'm not going to let nobody talk to me no type of way. That's probably been my biggest. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But yeah, you are right because like what you said, you kind of woke up something in me because, man, boy, I be in my head like,
Yes.
when I get in, and especially like when I get into like a situationship or a relationship with someone I really like, when you see them like that you really see a future with, and you not trying to mess it up. Like I be in my head like
everything is way.
I ain't even gonna say that. I ain't gonna do that. That's too much. I'm doing too much because it's been situations where like in the past where like, well, from at least from her point of view, she told me I was doing too much, and I learned from that. And like I said,
what's too much?
That's the phrase right there.
Too much. Like as far as, dang, you made me think. Hold on, I ain't expect you to ask me that.
Well, let's think about that, and we'll come back after the commercial break.
And we're back. We were just talking about being in our heads and relationships and feeling like we're overzealous and doing too much with our women. But Mike, what have you ever been in your head? What were you about to say?
I've been in my head a pretty few times, even like in this relationship. It's, hard to get out of because it's like the devil just toys with your head. When he knows like this relationship is godly and it's fruitful, he's gonna do his best to try to destroy it as best as possible. So he's gonna get in your head, and because of my past situations, it hurts, and it's like I'll say, yeah, like it hurts, but I'm still growing, and I'm glad that like my girl is there to like actually help me out, and especially just me submitting to God because I haven't had the best time when it came to those type of relationships, but this one is truly helped me be more confident, not just in God, but myself and even her. So.
And that's a great point to end it off on, because one thing about it, any relationship will flourish when God is on the top. And speaking of being on the top, Amiri was on the top yesterday. And that is why we have this lovely thing right here. And I am going to put it on my head.
Crown
I am
of
going to
King.
gas myself up because, golly, it has been quite the I was about to cuss. It has been quite the semester. And I think this has really been the cherry on top. So I'm going to give myself a little props right now. Yesterday, I competed in the Mr. Debonair pageant hosted by the Lady Gunner Chapter of the AKA. It was an amazing experience, and I honestly think it taught me a lot about myself and my mental health and being in my head, because as well as going through my process to become a theta man, a lot of times when it came to my relationship with men, it just as a what's the word when it's just friendly?
Cordial.
Platonic, yes, platonic. Just platonic relationships with men, straight men, gay men, and also just being in my head about certain things. I've had to like really push myself to understand that the places where I am is because that's where I was supposed to be, and I think that's an important thing to realize in all the topics that we've talked about today. The relationships that we're in now. If you're not supposed to be in that relationship, that's something different. So don't take it to be like this is where I am right now because this is where I'm supposed to be. The experiences that you have because those are the experiences that you are supposed to have, and because one day you are going to be able to share that experience with somebody, and they're going to be able to take it and apply it to their lives. And the blessing that you have given them is a blessing that they can give to somebody else. And speaking of experiences, this has been one hell of an experience. This is PV Roundtable Talk, and I am giving you my deepest farewells. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving break.
Terry Young signing out. Mic drop.
Don't drop them.
I'm not gonna drop.